Yeah, hello. I'm Paul, and I'm an addict, and so I'm 44 years old, and I'm the father of a beautiful little girl called Jessica, and I'm grateful to be alive. I'm really grateful to be clean. That's a blessing. Um, yeah, so I was first introduced to ice in around 2012, and I'd had a few beers with a friend, and he introduced me to the new ice, and I injected that straight away with him, and yeah, my life has changed ever since. I was an IV user throughout my early teens, and I knew what went into meth. I wasn't 100% sure exactly what was in ice, but yeah, it didn't worry me too much. I've always used very hard, and suffered with a lot of depression and anxiety, and my life was never of very high regard to me. I used to mask all of my feelings, to numb myself completely, and that type of using, that's it's just the only thing I knew. So from the first time I used ice, I guess it would have been 2011. I would say within about 6 weeks, I was using on a daily basis, and my life was completely uncontrollable. My addiction really hurt my family, destroyed them. I didn't have a lot of friends. I'd just come back from living overseas where I'd lived for 12 years. I did have family, and yeah, so the addiction, it almost destroyed the entire family. I did a lot of harm to my ex-wife. I did a lot of harm to my daughter. I did a lot of harm to my father, to my brother, and to other parts of the family. So both depression and psychosis are a part of my story with ice. I'd had mental health problems all my life, suffering with fairly serious depression as a young boy, and mental health in my teens and early adulthood. So when in 2011, my family and we came back from Egypt to Australia because of the political and civil unrest, and we left our house, we left all of our friends and family, I left my career, we left everything we knew to come to Australia. Things were very uncertain, and I was quite depressed, and I guess I was suffering PTSD without knowing what that was, and I wasn't receiving a lot of support. The ice was magic. The ice took away all of the feelings of all of the fear, all of the anxiety, all of the panic, and replaced it with just this beautiful numbness and this clarity that I thought was clarity, that I'd be able to rebuild my life, and that quickly changed from clarity to the worst fear and the worst depression and paranoia and psychosis that I'd ever had. And I guess by the end of my using, my psychosis basically, I had these voices screaming at me inside of my head. you're already dead. You're already dead. You're an animal, and you deserve this. This is what you deserve. The people that I started using ice with, in 2011, we didn't last long together, and by the end of my using, which was April the 12th, 2016, there was no one left in my life. There was not one person that I could call a friend left in my life. I had someone that I purchased the drug off, and they were kind to me. They would take my money, but I was really broken. I was so I suffered with vascular problems, heart problems, and lung problems. And with my vascular problems, I'd have wounds on both legs and both feet, and I would go to pick my drug up. While I would be buying the drug, the dog would be eating my feet from under the table. So I don't know. I'd see people disappear from the scene, but I don't know what happened to them. I may have been a really hopeless ice user, and I could clearly see that I was punishing myself. But every time I'd been trying to get clean since about 2012. I did a rehab in 2012, and I'd been going to meetings, a 12-step fellowship, and I think it was May the 5th, I slapped my ex-wife, and I'd never been physically violent before. So after I slapped her, I put everything into getting clean. I got about 5 months and 3 weeks clean at that time. And when our relationship was unsalvageable, I used again for another 6 months. And then I just had the gift of desperation. I'd had enough. And I had a peer from the 12-step fellowship which I was attending asked me if I was ready and if I would follow some certain things to do. I said yes, and I basically handed my entire life over to this man. And so we did prayers. We had to do everything. Prayers, readings, to do some writing about myself, and more than anything else, I just had to reach out and pick up the phone and have someone around me pretty much all the time, because I couldn't trust myself for about 18 months. Yeah. Staying clean for more than a day has been the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. As I mentioned, since 2012 I was trying to stop, trying to get clean. I wasn't having fun in 2012. And I guess for the next 4.5 years, I watched the faces of everyone that I loved turn from care and concern to just pure hatred, to the point where, they wanted to spit on me. I could see my little girl terrified of me. I would look in the mirror and say the most terrible things to myself. And I just didn't have any hope. I thought that I was different than other people that were in recovery, and I couldn't I couldn't understand for the life of me how they managed to get time together, to string a few days together. My using impaired me to the point where I was hemorrhaging from the ears, from the eyes, from the mouth, and I would still use, and I would still attend a 12-step fellowship, and I would come into that fellowship in some fairly scary states. And I've got to say that some of the people in recovery, shout out to Dave L, this guy would see me and he would just come running over and he'd give me a hug, no matter whether I'd used or whether I'd got clean. He'd give me a hug and he would tell me that I'm in the right place and to just hang in there and get through another day. And my emotional stability was completely gone for the first 2 years, I guess, of recovery. 18 months I was completely suicidal. And, it was hard to be around. It was really tough to be around me. It was really intense. I wanted to hurt myself. I was lucky enough to be getting access with my daughter, so I think the miracle is that the fellowship that I was in, they taught me how to put my daughter's needs and wants ahead of my own, and how to start living in the moment with her. So we started doing lots of activities, things like swimming and park visits and just little outings where it was all about my little girl, and I would see her face light up, and through the consistency of being clean, through the consistency of changing my responses to her, so that that little girl hasn't heard me scream or shout for 2 years and 6 months. Not one. I haven't raised my voice once, and so our life together now is pretty nice. But it's been hard, there's that week on and week off, and when she goes back to mum, I have to dig deep and find reasons within myself to stay alive. And I guess today what I've really discovered is that I'm a good dad. I'm a good friend to those other men in recovery. I love people in recovery, and I want to help make a difference and help change other people's lives as well.